Welcome to the qualifying video for the charity race, an endurance race around Bathurst, 500 kilometers on Friday. I hope you guys enjoyed that little intro teaser video that we had for you lined up. And today, commentating over this commentary, we have myself and Ross Thorne.
Hello, yeah, great to be here. I'm excited to see how qualifying went, to be honest. I only know how good my lap was, and I think it was pretty good. So, really keen to see how everyone else does because we've got cars that are quite well suited to our paces, so it should be quite a close one tonight.
In theory, everyone should be able to do exactly the same lap time. It just depends who can hook it up in those 5 laps that you have, sort of to show everyone how good you are. I guess we're going to talk about the drivers that we have today. 15 drivers in total, a mixture of tier 1 to 4 drivers. So every tier from Aero League Racing is represented. Do you want to get us kicked off, Ross?
Yep, so first we have a man that surely needs no introduction, the mighty Iggy. He is a two-time champion in Group 3, having just won the last 12 races of this season. And he actually scored the record number of points ever in a single season last season as well. So you could say he's in the form of his life as far as Aero League Racing is concerned. So I'm really expecting a great result for him once again on Friday at Bathurst.
Well, you say form of his life, but didn't he just come off the back of a poor result at the Race of Champions?
He did, yeah. So it was very weird because he was just ahead of me. He had a really bad first couple of laps. He didn't really overtake anyone, and then he decided to pit off his hards and try to do an extra stop than everyone else. It just didn't work out for him. He just had far too many cars to overtake, and he only ended up fifth. So yeah, Iggy's never won the Race of Champions, which obviously is a special event like this one.
So next up on the grid, we have our second tier 1 driver, a past race winner at Bathurst Mount Panorama. That is Lego Man in the absolute missile that is the Bugatti Veyron. Let's see if he can tame that up on the hill.
Yeah, next up we have you, Ryan. So you're in the McLaren, and it's a really interesting car. I did test this one, but it doesn't have much power, but it does handle really well. So over 3 hours, it'll be probably a more enjoyable experience for you. You've only ever had 2 pole positions, so I'm wondering if you can get another one because your last one was back in season 3, and we've just finished season 7 for reference. So it's been quite a barren spell whilst Iggy's been collecting all the pole positions in tier 1.
Thank you for pointing that one out. Next up, we have Reno King 98, who technically was a tier 1 driver last season. Sorry, he raced twice at Sardinia. That was all he was able to attend, but because of other commitments. But he was a tier 2 champion from season 6, and I believe a race winner as well from that season as well. So let's see if he can come back with a little bit of a return to form.
Oh, I'm sure he will. Next up we have Lego IG, or you might see him on the screen as Kane as well. He's racing in the Toyota, which is a really good car to drive up the hill. He seems to be really strong in practice in these Group 4 cars compared to Group 3. So just for reference, he hasn't had a podium in our Group 3 since Season 5. So if he can manage to get close to a podium in a much more difficult group of drivers, then I think he'll be really pleased with himself.
Next up, we've got Joe Leary in the Hyundai, another car that handles really well, and another car that will just put a smile on Joe Leary's face, basically. He drives so nice. He's a race winner at Bathurst. He came third in season 6 of tier 2 and has entered over 60 races at ALR.
A very reliable driver. Just like this next one, Major Ecstasy. They are really good friends in real life, actually. And Major has won Bathurst twice. He won both races in season 6 in the Hyundai. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do in the Mercedes SLS on Friday.
Next up, we have BO2603 with 4 wins to his name and 44 races entered in his ALR career. He actually came second in Tier 3 this season after a dreadful final week where he was actually leading the standings by over 20 points at the halfway stage. So hopefully he'll be able to pick up some of his early season form.
Yeah, definitely. So following him, we have Reaper Dude 83. He is one of our league admins. He joined GT7 in the middle of season 6, and he promptly moved to become tier 4 champion. So fresh off the back of a really successful season, it'll be really interesting to see what he can do against a faster grid with faster drivers and see if he can cut it out in his Ferrari.
Speaking of champions, we have Tier 3 Season 6 champion Ross Thorne here in the commentary booth, but also on the grid. He's entered over 50 races and won 4 in his time here.
Yep, next up is Andy Winters in what is my favorite car, the Lamborghini Huracan. He has entered 53 races and is one of our most improved drivers of Season 7 after collecting a few race wins. So another one who's coming off the back of a really successful season, probably his best one in GT7, and will be expected big things on Friday.
Next up, we have HTT Pyro, our most experienced Gran Turismo 7 driver. It's kind of crazy to say that. I don't know why, but yeah, 92 races entered, 0 wins. Sorry, Pyro, for pointing that out.
Yeah, he didn't have as successful a season as some of the guys we were just talking about, but you never know. He could turn it around in the Group 4 cars. It could just be a that he's not so successful in the Group 3s. But moving on to Abmo, who is our Diamond racer. He's our oldest in the entire league. He used to race with us, I think it was all the way back in Season 2, and he's only rejoined us again for GT7 for his first season last season, and he did pretty well. He got 3 podiums, 4 in total out of all of 7 seasons in GT. So yeah, I'm excited to see how he can perform on Friday.
Next up, we have Sietse Boomer 22 with 8 races entered. A massive 8, I know. None of them on GT7 either. He raced with us back in Season 3 where he managed 1 podium from his 8 races, which was actually at an oval track, so quite dissimilar to Bathurst, but maybe Bathurst will suit him.
Yeah, he has commentated on Bathurst before, so maybe that will help him a little bit. But yeah, he's a real unknown quantity. Yeah, so moving on to our final driver, it's Lil Sheepy. He has yet to win a race in Tier 4, but he does have the benefit of having one of the fastest cars in Group 4, which is the Subaru WRX. He managed to get 2 podiums last season in Tier 4, so he'll be hoping to do one better and score himself his first ever race win.
A really reliable driver in Tier 4 as well. Been really helpful with hosting and things like that in the previous season too, so settled in well. But apart from that, I think we're fine to head over to the live commentary of the qualifying and see how things got on. And it looks like our first driver is coming out on track right now. We've got BO2603 in the Lexus coming around the final corner now to start his lap. I am joined on commentary for qualifying with Ross. Say hi.
Hello. Yeah, BO's actually in the Lexus, which he raced all season this season in Group 3, so he should be quite familiar with the handling of the car. I don't know how. I haven't driven the Lexus in Group 4, but it is like really solid in the fast corners, so I'm expecting to see him do quite well in the middle part of this track if it's anything like the Group 3 cars.
I think overall the Lexus, the Group 4 car, is definitely very solid all round. It's got good handling, it's a bit heavy sometimes, but we'll see if he can do a bit better than he did towards the end of the Tier 3 season. As you can see, he's just coming up the hill now as we move into Sector 2.
Yeah, approaching a really difficult part of the track here where some cars can probably take this little bit flat out before braking for this corner right here. He seems to take it pretty well there and keep a lot of speed as we go up the hill now.
Another section here which is really difficult in certain cars. It looks like he's kept it all flat there through that section as we come over the crest. Yeah. Approaching the Sector 2 line in a few seconds as well, as we sort of expect around a 1:09 lap time at this point in time for the drivers, but obviously this is the first time we've seen a lap here.
Yeah, so he looks like he's pretty much matching his best time that he'd set so far. You might see that he's on his 4th lap on the screen there, but he does. Everyone does get to set 5 laps for their qualifying, and we take the best time. So this was his best out of 5 laps.
And obviously we have worked quite hard to balance everyone's pace, because Group 4 is there's such a difference between certain cars in Group 4 that we are able to have Tier 1 and Tier 4 drivers all together in the same lobby with a similar expected time.
So yeah, I'm in the Aston Martin, which I've never driven an Aston Martin in Group 3, but we're going to go back to BO as he's approaching the last couple of braking points of the lap.
Really difficult chicane here, but he seems to get a really good line through there, and he's coming down to the final corner, which is all about your braking zone. There's a tree on the right that you can use as a reference just there. As that goes off your screen, out of view, you can sort of get down into 3rd gear and try and get a good exit across the line.
So what is the benchmark going to be here? It's at 15.6.
Yes, so 2:15.6 as we cut back to Ross now, who is approaching the hill yet again.
Start of the 2nd sector. So yeah, the first sector really kind of favors the Aston Martin, which has a little bit of a better engine, I'd say, than the Lexus. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I'd say so. Definitely on acceleration as well. I feel like it's
Yeah.
a bit better at getting the power down.
But as we go through this middle sector, I did find it a bit more difficult. I don't think it's got the best grip. As you see, I kind of hit the wall there, which is going to lose me a lot of momentum because there isn't another braking point until a little bit later in this sector. You don't even brake here in the Aston. So I'm expecting this to be quite a slow sector. Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah,
1.3 down.
1.3 seconds down. We actually did a poll on Twitter, and the predicted gap between the whole field for the whole field spread was 1 second to 1.5 seconds. So it's going to have to be a good end to the lap here for Ross if he wants to get anywhere near BO's time.
I do remember this little second, this third sector, that twisty bit just before the straight. That was a really strong part of the lap for me, and obviously this straight should help me out a lot, as we've got Tier 1's Lego man just starting his lap as well. Is that the Bugatti?
Yeah, it's the Bugatti Veyron. Speaking of cars that are quick in a straight line, this is probably the quickest as Ross comes through the sector 3 split. 4/10 down from BO, so a really good sector 3 time there from Ross.
Okay, that makes me feel a little bit better. And then yeah, this last sector is really short, so there's not much time that you can gain in the last sector. So I'd be surprised if I'd gained or lost more than a tenth in this last sector to BO. So I'm expecting him to beat me fully here.
For the most part, it's just down to the top speed that you can set in your car, and like 4/10 gap there. I think stayed pretty much exactly the same there in the final sector.
Yeah, I was teammates with BO in Season 6, and he did beat me in qualifying more often than I beat him, so it doesn't really surprise me that he's beaten me there as well.
And you can see the splits there for each sector. Massive differences in sector 2 and 3 between the two drivers, but relatively evenly split in the first and fourth sector.
It's basically hitting the wall there for me. Completely ruined my chances there.
I wonder what happened to BO as well, because that seems like a very poor sector 3 time to lose second. Obviously, we know what happened to you in sector 2, but it'd be interesting to see if other drivers do similar things to BO in that third sector.
It didn't look like he made much of a mistake. Speaking of not making mistakes, Lego's looking really smooth here in his Veyron. Oof.
Also 1.1 seconds down. Maybe it was just incredible sector 2 from BO. Is a little bit of oversteer there coming down the corkscrew there from Lego Man, who actually won the Tier 1 race last time we visited Bathurst.
Right, so he should definitely, well, I was going to say he should be looking for a pole here, but maybe he can recover it in the race if he doesn't manage to beat BO's time.
Obviously, in theory, all these drivers have similar paces, but it depends what they can pull out the bag in their 5 lap stint. You only get your opportunity, and once it's done, it's done. You have to sort of live with whatever you have. It looks like a really big improvement there from Lego. Once again, 4/10 down on BO. P3 currently, so just behind Ross. We'll see if he can overtake Ross maybe to get that P2 with the top end speed that the Bugatti has in this final sector.
It's all going to come down to this final corner, which I think is probably, this corner and the first corner might be the most difficult 2 corners to get right. They're just really unusual corners that you don't really see in other tracks.
I think this corner here, the final corner, is definitely all about the braking point. And Lego Man does go P3 there, just behind Ross. We'll see what the difference is in a second once that time flicks over from the gold to the grey.
Just a tenth in it. He's got Reaper here in the Ferrari, is it?
Yeah, he's in the Ferrari 458. He's actually got a different
nice livery
for the final race. Quite a lot of the teams weren't able to bring their final livery to the qualifying sessions because it takes a while to make liveries for the full.
You want to make it
grid.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Especially with the Mind logo as well. Oh, it wasn't Reaper's one of the liveries that you got that like specialist livery maker to make. You want to give him a shout out.
Distinct Kaguya was kind enough to make some liveries for the grid. He actually won Alpine's competition on GT7 to make the best livery, so it's really cool to get him on board, supporting Mind charity as well.
Yeah, Reaper's done well there getting him to make it. So yeah, it looked like Reaper was a second down on BO, so BO's just had a monstrous first couple of sectors there because no one's been able to get within a second so far, and Reaper's actually second out of a lot of us, so he's probably in prime position to get at least second as long as he doesn't make any mistakes in the rest of this lap. Yeah, 7/10 down in sector 2, nearly 8 really.
It looks like BO's second sector was absolutely outstanding, to be honest.
Yeah, and then he ruined it all in the
46.8%.
third sector.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happened. Maybe we can get a discussion with him post
Yeah.
qualifying. In our Twitter poll, Reaper was actually predicted to qualify the highest of the tier 4 drivers, that is Sheepy and Boomer included within him, but we'll see what kind of time he will get here. You can see he's already got a 16.2 as a banker. How much can he improve on that?
Oh, pole by 7 thousandths. That's really impressive.
Just inches there separating Reaper and BO.
Amazing. Now we got O'Leary coming up the hill. What car's O'Leary driving?
O'Leary's in the Hyundai Genesis. Sorry, I think this car is absolutely incredible. I did a lot of practice in this car for this event, and it is so nice to drive. And it'll be
especially around this part of the track.
Yeah, it just sticks to the road. We can see we've got a different benchmark now for the Sector 2 split. You can see BO had a 108.1, and Joe Leary beats Reaper's time by 0.6.
He went green but not purple, so that's the important thing to know when you're looking at these graphics. If they're purple, that means they're the fastest of everyone.
P2 at the Sector 2 split currently there for Joe Leary as he comes round onto the long straight with Lego IG 88 starting his lap in the beautiful livery Toyota.
That's a good livery on that O'Leary has.
Crosses the Sector 3 split 0.5 up on Reaper Dude 83. He must have done something right there in that third sector.
That's impressive because I didn't think that the Hyundai would have the best straight line speed, which is basically most of Sector 3.
It looks like a solid chicane as well. Can he get the braking zone right for the final corner? Just misses the curb on the inside, which is perfect. Using all the track on the outside, and I feel like this might be pole here.
Ooh, just under 0.2.
So he actually lost a bit of time there to Reaper Dude in that final sector. As we move back onto Lego IG, you can see the lap time comparison there between the two drivers that just set their lap.
So, Lego or Kane, I'm gonna call him Kane because that's how he usually goes. He's in tier 3, but he's somehow like really fast in these Group 4 cars. I've seen him in practice for this event, and also in I think the Sylvias it was. He did a race or two, and he was much faster than me in the Group 4. So I don't know what the difference is, but he seems to agree with him a little bit more.
And I tell you what, watching his lap through that uphill section, he was throwing it into the corners, absolutely launching the car in, almost lost the rear at one point, but it looked really quick. Let's see what his split time is. This barrier just above the track is actually the line for Sector 3, and he is 0.3 up on Joe Leary.
Right, and so I'm gonna say he's gonna be half a second up then, because it looked like O'Leary lost a bit of time in this final sector.
Yeah, what was O'Leary's time of 15.4, right?
Yeah.
Will this be the first man into the 214s? Will we have anyone into the 214s?
Will we have anyone in the 214s? That'd be mega.
Let's have a look. Looks like a pretty solid final corner. A little bit of oversteer maybe, but it might just be a little bit of connection issues. He goes across the line for a 2:15.1, 0.3 ahead of the rest of the field.
Yeah, that's going to be hard to beat. I'm going to say he's definitely at least top 5, if not top 3 with that.
Yeah, you can see the gaps there. Against Joe Leary, they were very similar. He just sort of beat him slightly in every single sector. So really good to see the balance between these two cars as we move over to Abmo now.
So Abmo has done one full season in GT7 so far, and he's in our 3rd tier at the moment. I think he got a couple of podiums this season as well.
He actually raced with us back in Season 3 as well, I think, for a season. So
nice.
Obviously just a bit delayed to pick up the Gran Turismo 7 new game, but it's looking pretty solid for him so far. This is the main problem area for the Master though. It doesn't have the straight line speed of some of these other cars. We've got someone else starting a lap there. It looks like that's Pyro in the GTR, and Abmo is actually on course for pole here, I think.
Really? That would be insane. I don't think Abmo got a pole in GT7 so far, so
2 tenths up on Lego Man going across the Sector 3 split. Can he keep the gap to the Toyota
Right,
driver? As
pressure's on.
we said before, this car doesn't have the straight line speed, but surely he just needs to be within 2 tenths of Lego's time.
Right, it all depends on this final corner. He didn't take it, he was quite tight in the entry there, so I'm not sure if that is going to penalise him.
Let's see, this one's going to go down to the wire, and he's not
Oof.
quite got pole
Less than a
600th.
tenth.
600th behind Lego Man, behind Lego IG, sorry.
Oh, tier 3's ruling at the moment. Top 3 are in tier 3.
Speaking of tier 3, I believe HTT Pyro was in tier 3 this season.
He was, yeah.
And he's in the Nissan GTR as well, which is one of the
GTR.
go-to Group 4 cars alongside, the Alpha and the Subaru.
Polyphony love Nissan. Just anything with Nissan is bound to do well in BOP races.
And he's actually gone purple there over the Sector 2 split. 2 tenths up on Lego IG. Loses the rear a little bit there.
Oh no! And that's going to lose him momentum all the way down the hill up until this point.
Is that going to lose him pole? Is that the question? It looks like
Yes,
he's definitely
absolutely
on course for it. We'll see how far that drops him down in the Sector 3 split now. Maybe the GTR can claw some of it back though with its top end speed.
Oh, is it got a good top speed?
Yeah, it's very understeery, the GTR, that's the main characteristic with it, but doesn't quite, has really good top speed, sorry. 2.5 tenths down on Lego IG, so he has lost quite a bit of time there from that one mistake.
Yeah, I think that cost him way more than 2 tenths as well. Can he claw something back? So if he's 2 tenths down, he'll be in third if he had a good Sector 4. Yeah. So yeah, it was top 3 that are in tier 3, and then O'Leary's in tier 2. So yeah, despite that mistake, Pyro's still teaching the rest of us a lesson so far. Andy Winter's another tier 3 guy. What's he driving?
He's driving the Lamborghini Huracan. Will he be able to join his tier 3 crew at the top of the grid though? You can see he's got a 15.9 already banked, so this is going to be quicker than that, so it's definitely not going to be last.
Yeah. He's one of our most improved drivers this season, Andy. He's got a couple of wins in tier 3 as well, and finished third in the championship, which is the best result so far. Okay, a couple of tenths down.
2 tenths down on Lego. That puts him P6 in the Sector 2 split so far. This is his final lap as well, so he left it late in the session to be able to set a stormer.
Oh yeah. What's the top speed like on this Huracan?
I'm not too sure, to be honest. This is one of the cars that I haven't driven. It's kind of very mediocre. I think it's just
if it's anything like the Group 3 version.
It's just sort of average at everything, but it does handle a lot better than the Group 3 version. 6 tenths up on his best time so far, which would put him around about a 15.3 if he does a similar final sector.
Right, so he'll be towards the front of the grid as long as he can get this last corner. That wasn't the best exit of that corner actually. He might have lost a tenth or two there.
Can he get the apex? That's very nice there on the final corner. He might have gained a little bit of time back there. Let's see if he can go into the top 3. P4. It's very close in that section, sort of P2, P3 to P7. There's only 2 tenths separating those drivers.
This is bad. Everyone's qualifying ahead of me here. Right, we've got another tier 3 driver. This is just a tier 3 race at the moment. So major, another race winner in tier 3. He was in the Porsche, but this time he's in the Mercedes SLS. Is it SLS? I think it is, yeah.
Yeah, it is.
He had a nightmare. He's 8 tenths down so far though.
It looks pretty solid so far though in Sector 3. Sector 3 is very tricky, and if you get it right you can gain a lot of time, and if you get it wrong you can lose
really
even
wide.
more, as we saw with Pyro's mistake where he lost like 5 tenths of a second maybe.
It's a nice car.
It's a very nice livery. Something very different. He's actually just 1/10 up on his time. So let's see if he can set a really good sector 4. I believe the Mercedes is pretty good on top end speed, but I'm not 100% sure. As he's flashing his lights, you can
Yeah,
see he's on pad there.
definitely a pad player. Yeah.
Coming into the final corner now, spots his braking zone. Can he get it turned in? That looks pretty solid. Did he touch the grass a little bit on the exit there? I'm not sure.
A little bit. I don't think it was enough to lose any momentum though.
And he's
So
across
he
the
got to
line for another
6.
15.6, another driver 4/10 off the lead now. Next up is
Nice.
myself.
Nice. I'm expecting Major to do well. He won both races last time we raced in Mount Panorama in Group 3. He was in the Hyundai Genesis actually, and yeah, he just completely dominated. So it wouldn't surprise me if he does much better in the race than he managed. As we see, you are 4/10 down so far. Not the worst.
No, the McLaren is very poor up the hill, I'd say as well, but it handles amazingly, and I do love this car. I've really enjoyed driving it, just like I enjoy driving the Group 3 McLaren.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be the best in the final sector, so we'll see how the time's looking at the split.
Is it not too good on the top speed?
No, it's not great on top speed, and it's not great in terms of power, and it's
Yeah.
actually a purple sector 3 split so far, 2/10 up on Lego IG.
Nice. 2/10 up. Okay, so
Yeah,
here we go. Pole position contender.
that's actually the fastest sector 3 we've seen so far by 4/10 up compared to Abmo.
Wow. Tiny final corner. Right, the tier 3 party's over. Now that the tier 1 guys have started coming out, showing us how it's done.
We've still got 2 more tier 1 guys left to go as well, including someone that scored 6 of 8 pole positions this
Yeah,
season.
he's quite used to getting pole positions, isn't he, Iggy? But he's in a really crap car, so fingers crossed he doesn't just get pole and run away with it for 3 hours on Friday. So we got Lil Sheepy here in the best Group 4 car out of the lot, the WRX, and he's matching your pace pretty well so far.
Yet to get a win so far in Aero League racing is Little Sheepy, but could this be his chance to use his excellent machinery and get that first victory? What great times he could do it as well.
If he can keep it on the track for 3 hours, I think he's got a great chance. But I think that's going to be difficult for all of us.
It's looking like a very solid lap so far, though.
Yeah.
Let's see how he's doing. I'm not sure about sector 3. I wasn't really paying too much attention, to be honest, but I think it was solid. Purple compared to his previous time.
Yeah.
The Subaru is another car that's just good everywhere. So there's not really a sector where he will be outstanding compared to anyone. You can see he was a little slow through the chicane there, but it's to be expected for someone who's in tier 4. So it's all about just sort of getting the most he can get out of his car.
Well, Reaper's in
8th
and he's in tier 4, so if you could beat him, that's a really good result.
Coming across the line now is a little Sheepy, and he goes P7, so 2 places
highest tier
ahead
4
of
driver.
Yep.
Oh, here we go.
Here's the man. 56% of people think he will be the pole sitter based on our pre-race vote.
I didn't vote for him. I actually voted for you, so I'm doing well so far. But yeah, Iggy is in the Alfa Romeo 4C, which isn't the best Group 4 car out there, is putting it mildly. But if one person knows how to pull out a fast lap in any car, it's Iggy. He's got such an advantage on the rest of us, and he's gone purple in Sector 2. But it's still very close. I remember you had a really good third sector, didn't you? So he's got a lot of work to do to kind of keep up with your pace, I'd say.
And in terms of the Alpha as well, although it's not I wouldn't say it's the slowest
Did he touch
car.
the wall then?
I wouldn't say I don't think he did. He might have done though. It looked very close, but I don't think it's quite the slowest car in the class, but it is probably the most difficult to handle. And obviously being, say, the second or third slowest car plus the most hardest to handle, it's a recipe for disaster unless your name's Iggy.
Well, 3 hours, and you'll be spending a lot of those 3 hours on old tyres. It could cause a few offs for him, and he'll have to do a lot of overtaking, I'm sure. at various
especially
points of the race.
especially as we're all required to do at least 10 laps on each compound
Yes.
of tyre. 10 laps on the softs, they are going to be screaming by the end.
Right, that was quite a good last corner. He went on the grass a little bit though. P4! Right, this is going to be an interesting race on Friday.
You can see less than a second splits the top 12
Top
drivers
12,
so far,
yeah.
with just 2 more drivers left to go as well.
Right, we've got Siesta Boomer up next.
For those of you that have been doing daily races this week, you'll know that the Jaguar is a go-to car around Le Mans. But how will it fare here around Bathurst? It looks pretty solid so far from Boomer.
Yeah, he's not taken the best lines around some of these corners though. It kind of reflects because he's a quarter of a second down at the moment. Ooh, a bit of a slide there as well.
So again, proper throwing in his Jaguar here into these corners. Let's see if it pays off though, as we progress down through the final bit of the twisty section of the track as we come onto the big back straight.
Looks like he took that corner pretty fast, to be honest. Right, Boomer's never raced in GT7, but he has commentated a hell of a lot, which is we're very grateful for. So if he out-qualifies me in his first ever qualifying session, I'll be pretty disappointed, I have to say.
He has raced in Gran Turismo Sport as well, and I believe he got podium in GT Sport, if I'm correct. I might be wrong. Someone will probably tell me in the comments if I am wrong. But he's currently on course for about P4 or P5 at the Sector 3 split, it looked like.
Right.
That looked pretty quick to me there for the final
did,
corner.
yeah.
Let's see where he comes across the line.
It looks like he got P9 in the end there, half a second off your time, Ryan.
Yeah, now we've got the last driver of the qualifying session. It's Reno King 98, back from his internship for one last dance before he goes away again.
Yeah, obviously he won Tier 2 last season, but he could only race once this season, and he was in the Ferrari, which wasn't the fastest car. So I'm expecting a bit better for him today.
He had a pretty solid feature race, I remember, in Sardinia, but saying that, he's never scored a pole position and actually holds the record in ALR for the most points without getting a pole position in our Gran Turismo leagues.
As he's over a 10th quicker than you after the second sector there. So this could be his first pole.
Looked like he could have taken a little bit more then, used a little bit more track in this twisty section of the track. He takes a very wide entry here, trying to get a good exit down the back straight.
Yeah, Kato's a little bit slow on going through the corner in the middle part of it, but how quick is this car on a straight line? Dodge, isn't it?
I'll be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure with this one. I think it's a pretty decent car. I know Iggy uses this in Manufacturer Series, so it is
Nice.
obviously a relatively good option. It looks like he is just under 1/10 down, so with a good final sector here,
had a
he
much
might be in
better
pole.
third sector.
Yeah.
But he's gotta pull something out the back here.
Let's see, that looked pretty solid there.
Yeah, it
Coming
did.
to the final corner now, though. You can see just half a second separates the top 12, and I'm sure Reno, will get himself in that top 12 somewhere here.
Yeah, really slingshot himself around that final corner as well. Oh, P2.
Puts himself just...
Oh well, congrats Ryan, you got yourself pole position for this charity event, and you managed to stop Reno getting his first ever pole position as well. So that is the top 3 all separated by a 10th of a second, and actually I think that's the top 8 separated by half a second, and the top 12 separated by 1 second, so really close qualifying there.
The top 13 separated by 0.584.
Top 13, is it? Yeah.
It's 15, 15 drivers in total. It's a really close qualifying session, and you can see BO all the way down in, 12th, 13th place with a purple Sector 2. Just that Sector 3 really let him down there in the Lexus.
Yeah, your Sector 3, which was the fastest, was 1.4 seconds quicker than his Sector 3, so that's the whole difference. And when you think he's only half a second down on you, he could have easily got pole there, but instead he's starting outside the top 10.
And because these cars are so different, you can see if you add up the purple sectors, the optimal time is actually a 2:13.9. So it just shows how quick times can be in these cars.
Yeah, really, yeah, it's really interesting because look, like Major down there, I think he's like what around about 10th, and he was 4 tenths quicker than you in the last sector, where we were saying that there's like pretty much no time to gain there because it's just two corners, but obviously he found it.
Taking a look now with more colours highlighted, you can see the best sectors in purple as usual, the second and third best times in green, with the second and third worst in orange and the worst in red. Really
Yeah,
interesting
nice.
here.
Yeah, nice to see I had the worst sector 2 out of everybody, uh, after hitting that wall. So yeah, that's where I lost all my time. Really strong opening of the lap for Pyro there before he set a really poor sector 3. He got two
Obviously,
greens there.
obviously we saw that on the camera, didn't we? We were like on board with him as he got a bit of oversteer, so I think that was to be expected there. I think it is quite interesting to see as well. We were just speaking about BO. He's got some of the best times in three of his four sectors, but absolutely ruined in that one.
Yeah, he'll be kicking himself. I think this really sets the race on Friday up to be really interesting, though. Like the fact that these cars are really strong in completely separate parts of the track is probably going to create a lot of overtaking opportunities in parts of the track where you wouldn't expect. Because if the cars aren't strong in a straight line, they'll want to get the overtaking done in a twisty bit and to try and build up a gap so that they don't just get swamped by the time they hit the back straight.
And you can see with most of the quicker guys, in fact, really struggling in that final sector, which was obviously the easiest
Yeah.
overtaking positions. Sort of what four of the top five having the bottom four, the slowest four times there. It looks like Reno's got the fourth
Oh
slowest
yeah, Iggy's there as well.
sector four.
That's going to create a really interesting race, especially on the opening lap when we get around that corkscrew onto the back straight. If Iggy's not good in a straight line and you've got people behind him that have managed to get close to him, he might just get swamped.
It'll be interesting to see tyre strategies as well. In general, you'd kind of
Mm.
expect people towards the back to use the hards, I'd assume, to try and sort of not get held up too much by traffic. But it'll be interesting to see if anyone goes for the softs further back, trying to make up some mad positions early on.
Yeah, it will be interesting because we saw in the race of champions last night. I think it was BX Royal started on softs and he managed to get pretty much to the front after the first lap, starting from the back. So it can definitely work if you have a good start and it can pay off. I started on the hards and then I was last at the end of lap 2. So I'm gonna have to think pretty hard what I want to do because the last thing you want in a 3 hour race is to be stuck behind someone for like 10 laps and then it just ruins your whole strategy.
Especially at a track where like Bathurst as well, but it's really hard to get a move done if you can't get it done in sector
Hmm.
one or sector four.
Yeah,
Something
and you
we
don't want your
also
flow disrupted as well. If you're stuck behind someone, then you can't hit your own rhythm.
Yeah, especially in a long race, you want to get into that flow as soon as possible and stay in it because I
Hmm.
sort of find that when you're in an endurance race, mistakes are compounded. You make one and then like three, four, five come along at once.
Yeah, exactly.
As we look at the grid for one last time here, you can see everyone positioned there where they'll be starting on the grid. One last thing is in the Race of Champions, sort of what 2 days ago, we saw quite a few drivers pitting onto hards in lap one. That's something that we won't be seeing in this Race of Champions as well. So
Mm.
even more reasons for people to be held up by slower drivers.
Yeah, you have to do 10 laps on each tire at least once. So that's going to cause people to, well, have to choose when they want to use the hard tire because I'm assuming a lot of people will choose just to use the hard tire for one 10 lap stint and then move on to either mediums or softs for the rest of the 3 hour race. But also, it's going to be really interesting because you're going to have to be on the softs for 10 laps. And are the softs going to last for 10 laps in all of these cars? It's going to cause some issues for some of them, I think, especially the ones that don't know how to drive as effectively to preserve tire life.
It's going to add some very interesting calls into the race. Another thing we saw was people going long on the hards in the Race of Champions. These cars are going to last about 35 to 40 laps on a tank, roughly,
Mm. Yeah, we
for
got
the
low
majority
fuel
of the
wear, don't
cars.
we? And low tire wear as well.
Yeah, so people might try and do crazy amounts of laps on a hard stint. So we'll see what happens on Friday.
What's your predictions then? Do you think you can hold everyone back?
Um, I think I might be able to hold everyone back for the first stint, but I don't think I'll win because I think it's going to be too difficult for me to overtake. I know in practice I've done races with Lego and Joe Leary, and I just can't get close to them on the straights.
Hmm.
And it's not really feasible to plan on making loads of overtakes in the on the hill.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's definitely. I think Reno's got a good chance. I'm really, really keen to see what Lego, IG, and Abmo can do because the tier three drivers. I'm not sure either of them have won a race before as well. So
Uh,
if either of them could, get a win here, that would just be, well, fantastic. But it would be completely upsetting the odds. And then obviously you've got Iggy in fifth. And we all know what he's capable of. He's won 12 races this season. So if he gets the strategy right, then it's over for everyone.
yeah, I think it's hard to look past Iggy in terms of a favorite, but I think Lego would be my dark horse. I do think he's won a race
Yeah.
before, and I think in practice he was the strongest that I've seen. Um, but it's all about consistency, isn't it, with a race like this?
Yeah, definitely. And you've got to think as well, like it's a 3 hour race, so qualifying matters far less for this race than it usually would because if people are going to make mistakes during the night or make a strategy mistake because it's really hard to strategize for a 3 hour race compared to a 40-minute one.
But that is all we have time for today. Thank you to everyone who did tune in to watch the qualifying video. Make sure to donate. The Just Giving link will be at the top of the description. As of recording, we're on about 520 quid, which is being matched by an anonymous company. So £1,000 in total, which is what, like $1,200, $1,300, I guess.
Yeah. And
Um,
every pound that you donate up to the first £1,000 that gets donated on the Just Giving page is going to be doubled by this company, which is amazing. So just think, if you only have £5 to spare, that's actually going to be £10. And if you add gift aid on top of it, which is no extra cost to you, it's going to add another like £2 or £3 on top of that. So £5 could end up being like a £13 donation, which is just like fantastic if you think about it. So anything that you got spare, we would be really grateful if you could just spare a couple of pounds for a really good cause.
Yeah, and then the commentator on Friday will be Weber Red 5. I believe this has been streamed on Twitch, so we can get any ad revenue and sub revenue that's raised on the day, so we can donate it as a league as well on top. And yeah, make sure to keep him entertained in the chat because he's going to get tired on that comms box. It's looking like it's going to be like a minimum of 2.5 hours this race, maybe a little bit more. We'll see. It's 500 kilometers. It's a long shift for everyone here.
And we'll keep him entertained.
But yeah, thank you for tuning in, and be sure to check out those links, and we'll see you on Friday. Bye bye.
Thank you.